Presenting a revolutionary driving system, American Motors Eagle.
Back in 1980, American Motors introduced the Eagle, the first American-made car with four-wheel drive. It was a revolutionary concept that was far ahead of its time, but it only lasted for 8 model years and marked the end of American Motors. This is the story of the AMC Eagle. This is my old car.
1983 Eagle. It leaves the world of ordinary cars behind. From American Motors.
Following its incorporation as a company back in 1954, as a merger between Hudson and Nash, American Motors held their own against their larger rivals with cars such as the AMX, the Javelin, the Gremlin, and by 1970, the entire Jeep line that they acquired from Chrysler. But they also had their share of missteps, most notably the AMC Pacer. By 1980, AMC had only 2 ongoing models, the Concorde and the Spirit. The Pacer ended its run in 1980, along with the last variation of the AMX. The introduction of the Eagle in 1980 was AMC's attempt to capitalize on the popularity of their Jeep line, but in a more family-oriented and more fuel-efficient package. Their starting point was to use the existing Concorde platform, which already had a 2- and 4-door sedan and wagon models, so the first Eagles would share those same body styles. Imports such as Subaru had capitalized on low-priced 4-wheel drive utility vehicles, whereas AMC's own Jeep brand had much larger SUVs such as the Wagoneer, so the Eagle was intended to fall somewhere in between. The Concorde platform was stretched by an inch and the ride height raised by 3 inches to accommodate the all-wheel drive system, which was the first for a mass-production car platform. Although commonplace today, where all-wheel drive cars can distribute power to the wheels that need it most, this was a revolutionary design that made the Eagle most popular in rural and snowbound regions of the U.S. Some critics were quick to point out the unusual look of the car, sitting up higher like a truck. Little did they know that the Eagle was simply way ahead of its time. And at first, buyers agreed, with over 45,000 sold in 1980. Although that number may sound relatively small, it was a significant boost that AMC desperately needed. The first Eagles were only available with one engine, a 4.2-liter straight 6 with a 3-speed automatic, and also rare for the time was its independent front suspension. Due to their expected increased use on wet and snowy surfaces, AMC offered a 5-year no rust-through warranty. Several different trim levels were available, including a sport package on 2-door and wagon models, which notably came with incredibly sporty plaid fabric seats. Yes, this was the early 80s after all. The success of the Eagle's first model year resulted in an expansion of the lineup for 1981. 2 new variations of the Eagle were produced on AMC's smaller Spirit platform. First was the Camback, which could be traced back to the design of the AMC Gremlin, and second was the SX4, based on the Spirit liftback. AMC called these new variations the Series 50 models, as opposed to the Concorde-based models being known as Series 30. By 1981, standard was a 2.5-liter General Motors-built 4-cylinder, with a 4-speed manual, or later in 1982, with a 5-speed manual transmission. The SX4 model was also popular with the rally racing crowd, as several SX4s were among the entries in the Sports Car Club of America's Pro Rally Series from 1981 through 1986. 1981 also marked a significant change in the 4-wheel drive system. A select drive option became available to allow drivers to switch between 4-wheel drive to 2-wheel drive in the rear via a switch on the dashboard that could only be used when the car was stationary. This option helped improve fuel economy and is a feature becoming more commonplace on crossovers today for the same reason. However, this decoupling of the driveline in cars today can be done at any speed. By 1982, the select drive option became standard. Also in 1981, a Targa convertible version of both the Eagle and Concorde, called the Sun Dancer, was produced by the Griffith Company. This same company also produced a similar design for the Toyota Celica, called the Sun Chaser, between 1979 and 1981, a fact that I missed in my previous episode on the Celica. The Sun Dancers started out as 2-door hardtop models, then converted to have T-tops above the driver and a folding fabric and plastic rear window. But only around 200 conversions were done across both the Eagle and Concorde lines, so the project didn't last beyond 1982. By the end of the 1982 model year, Eagle sales had slipped to just under 38,000, with almost 21,000 being the wagon. The Camback proved to be the least popular, only selling around 500 units, so it was dropped after 1982. Also dropped was the Series 30 2-door, due to having less than 2,000 units sold that same year. And the Series 30 sedan was now only available in base trim, leaving the SX4 and the wagons going into 1983 relatively unchanged. With sales dropping, AMC needed to concentrate on a smaller subset of models, but with less offerings meant sales for 1983 dropped to less than 18,000. To help save the entire brand, AMC partnered with French automaker Renault to produce the Compact Alliance in North America. AMC concentrated more on their relationship with Renault and less on their existing models, with the Concorde and Spirit models dying by the end of that year. Starting in 1984, the Eagle, now with just four-door sedan and wagons, became AMC's only model line. But 1984 did offer one big improvement in that the Select Drive system could now be operated while the car was in motion, known as Shift on the Fly. And sales went up in 1984 to 25,500 units, with over 83% of those sales being the wagon model. For the 1985 model year, AMC's inline six-cylinder became standard equipment, and the 5-speed manual transmission also came standard, although a 3-speed automatic was still an option. Even a new remote keyless entry with power locks became an option, a big deal in those days. Yet despite this, AMC did little to market the Eagle, causing sales to drop to less than 17,000 for 1985. Little else changed for the Eagle in 1986, and sales dropped to less than 8,300 units. The public could see that the Eagle was showing its age, having been on a platform that was essentially unchanged since 1970. What was once a revolutionary achievement in automotive history, the four-wheel drive Eagle was fading into obscurity by 1987, as was American Motors. In 1987, Renault owned 46% of AMC, but were faced with AMC having lost over $91 million in 1986. The Jeep brand under AMC was still their most viable commodity, which led to Chrysler buying out Renault's share of AMC, as well as all remaining shares, for around $1.5 billion, which would be over $3.3 billion today. However, the Eagle didn't end with the Chrysler buyout, at least not right away. Chrysler allowed the Eagle to remain on the market for the 1988 model year, with its name changed to the Eagle Wagon, since only the wagon body style remained in production. Although AMC as a company no longer existed, the 1988 model still had the AMC badging. As the wagon was an entire carryover from the past couple years, and with little marketing, the Eagle only sold around 2,300 units for the 1988 model year. Chrysler quietly ended its production in December of 1988. Although the Eagle model may have ended in 1988, the Eagle brand was just beginning. Following its acquisition of AMC, Chrysler created the Jeep Eagle brand, in which dealerships sold both Jeep and Eagle models. The Eagle models initially were just imported Renault models, but renamed as the Eagle Medallion and Premier. Later, the Eagle brand soon became a selection of rebadged Chrysler and Mitsubishi models with little brand identity. Only one Eagle model was entirely a Chrysler design, the Eagle Vision, shared with the Dodge Intrepid and Chrysler Concorde. As the Jeep sales far overtook Eagle, Chrysler quietly phased out the Eagle brand by 1998. The Eagle's slow death over its last few years is all the more sad when you realize how the SUV and crossover craze has taken over the North American market in the 21st century. Although the Eagle sold well in its first couple years, it still had its critics that complained about how awkward it looked, with a car body sitting on what looked like a truck frame. As a teenager in the 80s, I had to agree with that opinion, as whenever I saw one, it just sort of looked wrong. But the Eagle was commonly seen in pop culture, being a regular in many movies and TV shows. The one I remember best was in Back to the Future, when Jennifer's dad interrupts a kiss between Jennifer and Marty as he pulls up in a 1984 Eagle wagon.
Jennifer!
It's my dad. Right. I've got to go.
An impressive attention to detail was near the end of 1990's Back to the Future Part 3, when Marty pulls up to Jennifer's house. They still have an Eagle wagon, although those that have inspected this closely believe they used a 1985 model for Part 3. By the way, that's a smashed up 1975 AMC Hornet at Jennifer's house in Part 2. The AMC Eagle is widely considered the first crossover vehicle, long before the term crossover became a thing. If this car was never produced, we may still have crossover vehicles today, but their evolution may have taken longer. And if AMC had been in better shape in the mid-80s, the Eagle may have lived on to see more than just one generation. Sadly, we will never know. But nevertheless, its impact on the car world can still be seen today. Thanks for watching. If you liked this episode, click the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you once owned a car from the 80s to mid-2000s that you rarely see today and would like it featured in a future episode, leave a suggestion in the comments or contact me at the email address shown here. See you next time.